All right. Hello and welcome to Just Animals podcast. I'm Elle, and with me, as always, is my dad, aka Guy.
AKA guy.
Okay, we've
Wait,
been go on.
AK-47 or no? Hi,
No, you
Paulo.
don't get a cool name.
Hi. Hello, Pod World.
Okay,
Thank you.
your opening is done. All right. And while we don't have Sam the zookeeper, we do have a very exciting guest coming in from. You might know him from Jackass or Viva La Bam as the shopping cart guy. We have Raab himself on with us today. We're very excited. If you want to go ahead and say hello, Raab.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. And so today with Rab on, we are actually going to discuss the Mustang. So we
The
are very excited
Mustang.
about that because yes,
Mustang
the animal in
Sally.
our own backyard. No, please stop. So actually, really quick, Rab. So now that you've progressed from running into walls and doing stupid shit, I'm assuming we've kind of calmed that down. Have you ever
Oh, I
filmed?
still do stupid shit. I mean,
Good for you. Have you ever done any filming with wild animals or animals in general, or how does that usually work in the film world with animal
yes,
cast?
yes, I have done a bunch. Let's see. There are
Let
a
me
whole bunch
interrupt
of.
1 second. I'm sorry, Rab.
Why do you interrupting him?
Because it wasn't him, but they did a thing with an alligator and a chicken. I remember that episode.
There were a lot of things with
And
alligators
the
too.
alligators and a raw chicken. Do you remember that?
Okay, yeah, I've done stuff with an alligator and raw chicken too. We've done that on Viva La Bam, but yeah.
Wait, you guys put an alligator in their house, right? In April's kitchen.
Yeah, I wasn't a part of that prank, but yes, that did happen.
That's right.
Did they live in Florida?
Yeah.
No, they're in Pennsylvania. They're like right outside of Philly, right?
Alligator up there. It's too cold for alligators up there.
Yeah. Well, it was actually, it was totally set up and sedated and everything. They had like a wrangler there, and but I mean, when you do stuff with animals, Manny was one of our main guys for the Jackass stuff, and then we have a whole bunch of different wranglers. On the new one, there was a couple different people doing snakes and and like spiders and all different types of stuff.
That's
and then
right.
and like donkeys and bulls and
Right.
and like llamas and whatever. And yeah, I mean it's all done very professionally, and it's made
Sure.
to look like it's this wild sort of thing, obviously.
Right.
But you would certainly anger lots of people if you didn't do it properly and take care of the animals while you're filming.
But
so
MTV wouldn't allow you to put it on if somebody was being without someone there to certify that no animal was harmed, right?
Exactly. And none of us would ever want to.
No, and you guys don't seem like you'd actually want to hurt the animals or anything either. But yeah, actually, that's a good point too. You've worked with animals in front of the screen, and then I guess now or in front of the camera, now behind the camera. So like, is it difficult when having to do take after take after take? 'Cause it's like, okay, the animal was looking like the dog or the llama was its ass is in the frame, and we need to have its face in the frame. Like, please turn the llama.
For Jackass, we need to have the ass in the frame.
Well, right.
If I remember correctly, I think it was what's the guy who had Steve-O? He had a chicken in his pants with the chicken hanging out, and they sent him on a zip line over the alligator. If I think that was the
over the gator pit.
Yeah,
yes,
I think
yes,
that
was
the deal.
definitely one of them.
Yeah. I can't remember if that was the show or the movie or what.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it was. Yeah, but that was definitely a skit. Absolutely.
Right.
All right. So, anyways, things aside from things eating stuff out of Steve-O's ass, let's get back to the Mustang. So, actually, the word Mustang is derived from the Spanish word Mustaño, which means wild or stray, and we actually have to do a brief history lesson about the Mustang before we really kick this off. So all horses and horse-like creatures are descendants of the original horses, which are actually from North America that existed over 4 million years ago, which while there were native horses in North America, these prehistoric horses actually died out between 13,000 to 11,000 years ago. And the wild/feral horses that roam the U.S. today are actually descendants of domesticated horses that were reintroduced to the continent by Spanish colonizers in the 16th and 17th centuries. So what has happened is
that we have no domestic horse here in the United States that's from.
What are you talking about? What do you think a racehorse is domestic?
North America.
No, she's saying no wild.
No, yes,
true wild
North
ones.
American
right.
horses.
Thank you, Rab. Right,
Wow.
which let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
So this is where the distinction between wild and feral comes in. So here the US government has them classified as wild, which they technically should be classified as feral, meaning that they are free-roaming descendants of domesticated horses, almost exclusively a non-native species. And so this is basically just opened this door for debate. So it's like, are they wild horses or are they feral horses, which we'll get into later. And the definition of wild is used almost exclusively to reference native species living in a wild state. So, raccoons would be a definition of wild, whereas feral, they are, former non-native
Wait, how'd you go from
species. So horses
horses
had to
to
be
raccoons?
reintroduced.
Gotcha.
You're not following. I don't know how else to help you. You have an MBA. Get it together. All right. Anyways, so
I'm gonna
Rab's
be
got it.
again.
If Rab has probably gotten like 20 million concussions over his life. If he can track, I don't know why you can't track.
Well,
I don't know.
Rab,
We both just got dogged on that
were
one,
you
guys.
were you trained in stunts, or were you just like learned on the job kind of shit?
Yeah, learned on the job. I mean, growing up as a kid, like from the very beginning of like being able to walk, I've been doing that stuff. So like, technically by MTV or Paramount or things like that, we are called professionals. I would say I didn't go to stunt school, but I do know how to
Professional.
fall. I do know how to take a hit. I do know how to land correctly so that I can limit injuries and stuff like that. More so than the regular, you see like most kids that would try to do it, they end up breaking their back or breaking, and you're like, yeah, because you don't do this, and then you go out and do this, you're
Right.
gonna get hurt.
Yeah, well, the smashing the table over people's heads and jumping off roofs onto tables and all that shit. I mean,
People still do
with
that. So
the milk cartons, is that the new shit now? The milk carton thing where they stack up the
what?
milk cartons and go up
Oh, the milk
milk
crates.
crates.
That's a social media thing, which I'm surprised you guys haven't done that actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they would do cardboard boxes
Yeah.
sometimes because they break away pretty well if you're jumping off of a roof into things.
So,
Yeah.
is there a reunion tour in the works, or that's not
They
happening?
have another.
There's a new movie coming out in
Are
February.
you in it?
I'm not in it. I worked as a camera on.
Oh, you're behind the scenes.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
like, I'm tired of getting the shit beating the shit out of
Did they
myself.
give
I
you
just
a-
want to film this time. I just
I,
want to film.
Yeah, it was. I worked on a good portion of it during the pandemic. It was we joked that it was Jackass Forever, and then it officially became named that. But the movie took longer than any other shoot I've ever been on, and I worked like aside from Jackass, I've been working as a cameraman for 10 years. So like. I've been doing that, and we shoot full length features with dialogue and all that in shorter periods of time. And the reason being because of the pandemic. We started at the end of 2019, went into 2020. We started, then most of 2020, the studio was shut down for the pandemic. At the end of the year, we tried to shoot again for a little, then it got shut down again. And then into 2021 is where it was completed and then went into post. So it was supposed to come out actually today.
This is the original release date.
Yeah, and then because of the COVID, once again, it was pushed back to February.
We saw a preview for it. We saw Venom the weekend it came out, and there was a preview for it. And my husband and I were obviously very excited. And little kids were like, "What is this?" And it's like, "You don't understand. Shut up, small child."
I'm proud of you that you said my husband and I, and not my husband and me. Thank you.
Okay, this isn't a grammar lesson.
You.
Anyways, thank you. All right. So as for their description, so Mustangs stand at 14 to 15 hands tall or 56 to 60 inches, which, Rab, did you know this? Horses are measured in hands typically, and that's a 4-inch unit of measure.
Oh, wow.
Right. So they can weigh anywhere from 700 to 1,000 pounds.
Whose hand is 4 inches?
I don't.
I think it's this way. I think it's this way.
I feel like Wee Man's hand or something is 4 inches.
This way. That makes sense.
I was thinking this way too. So, All right. And so then let me see here what else we got. Okay, yes. So it should be noted that wild horses' manes actually have shorter hairs that remain upright, while domesticated horses do not, and they tend to have longer manes. And they can come in every color and variety that domestic horses come in, and they're well proportioned. Lifespan is about 30 years. So, as for habitat in indigenous area, Rab, take a guess. Where do you think you find these creatures?
The wild horses?
Yes, the wild horses.
Maybe on a Fleetwood Mac album. I'm
It's right over
there's
here.
my dad joke for the day. But no, so I would guess
New York City.
Sort of in the plains of like Wyoming or something.
All right, you got one of them. Check.
Yeah, Red
so
Rock
there's
Canyon.
Actually, okay, relax, Red Rock Canyon. All right, so yes,
there are some in Delaware, actually, on an island here in Delaware.
Yes. Yeah. There's like this weird. Yeah, there's this one random island on the East Coast.
Island,
is that where Joe Biden's from?
Yep. He's riding his stallions
old Mustang,
right?
Shirtless with that Russian guy.
Yeah, Putin,
right. Yeah, there you
Putin.
go. Yeah, Putin's on the bear. Biden's on the Stang. So they live in grassland areas of the western U.S., and the U.S. Bureau of Land Management allows wild horses and burro populations to roam free on 26.9 million acres of public land, and this range is split up into 10 herd management areas in the following states: Colorado, Arizona, Idaho, Nevada, Montana, the Dakotas, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Utah, and Wyoming. And according to the Smithsonian
Wait, you forgot Nevada.
I said Nevada.
Oh, sorry.
Listen. So yes, and there are feral horses on the Atlantic coast, and on those islands, and there's one off of Maryland too. Actually, there's a couple little random islands over there by you where they're just wild horses.
Yeah.
And they're very adaptable creatures. They can live in woodlands, steppes, savannas, semi-deserts, swamps, and marshes. So, question: so if you're filming, animals like in their area, how, or like just I guess in general, if you want to get a certain feel for an environment, how realistic do you want it to be? Like, do you actually want to go shoot in that environment, or how much do you want to do like green screen or CGI? You tell us.
In terms of
just like filming in general, like if you want.
Well, I mean, there's it's all different. So on a show like Wild Boys with Steve-O and Pontius, like they're really like out there,
Right? Yeah, they're in Thailand, they're in Belize or whatever. Yeah.
Right, but even still, they'll still have like animal handlers and people that can, that are much more adept to the situation that can then help them navigate it. But as far as like with us, when I'm working on other shows, we did a show. I worked on a show called Undercover Boss for a little while.
Oh, Undercover! I've watched that show.
Yeah, so we went and did an episode on like a frozen yogurt company, and then so we went to a dairy farm and filmed with the cows and stuff, and it was pretty cool because there was a couple births during the time where we were there, so we were able to like film some of that and watch that happen, and it was pretty cool.
And then you sent it to Nat Geo, and they're like, "How much do you want for this footage?"
Yeah. So there, I mean, so. We've gone into the environments like that, and then I've done other shoots where we're on like on a private set,
right.
In North Hollywood or wherever we're at, and it's set up specifically for animals to be brought in. So if it's like an old Western type of set, and it's like a dirt road, so they'll bring the horses in. And wrangle them in and get them ready for the shoot. But a lot of times it's a lot easier to shoot with animals that are used to being around film set and
sure
and crew, because
that makes sense.
What ends up happening is like a horse, for instance,
they get spooked.
We're talking about like Mustangs. Especially the boom mic.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The shotgun mic and like the boom operator, like that really freaks out a horse. So they see that thing and they start getting kind of nervous, and and obviously you don't ever want to be standing behind them in that.
No, not even to the side of them.
Tell them about the giraffe.
But it's but it does like it ends up. You do get in weird situations where you are behind them or you are right next to them because things get moved and everything moves around so quickly and stuff.
Right.
But generally, like the wranglers are so good and so professional with what they do that that you're, everybody's safe. And also, first and foremost, the animal is safe and taken care of and knows that,
of course,
that they're safe. And so, but yeah, those situations are nice because they're very controlled. But then when you're going into the pen with a pig or whatever, and it's like getting freaked out, like some of those situations are like, I hope I don't freak this thing, or they get anxiety from humans being
Right.
around and trying. It's like, what are you doing in my natural environment? You're like,
Right. Right. It's like, why are you in my house?
yeah, exactly. Like I think any of us would feel like if someone
Right.
just barged in your house with a camera and was like, "Hey, let
Right.
me get some," be like, "What?"
Right.
Get
Right.
out of here.
Get the screen. I need the light. Bring the light closer, please.
Pop a
Yeah.
No, that
cap in
makes a
your
lot of
ass.
sense. Although, okay, what the fuck? But anyways, horses, they're weird because they stupid shit like freaks them out. Like something like I rode a horse, walked past a rattling rattlesnake, no reaction. And then I was riding that same horse later, someone rang their bicycle bell and he just took off. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
The horse did, or
yes, the horse did.
uh,
And it's like we walked past a snake and you didn't do anything. And then the bell from the bike sets you off.
Because
So it's
when
just
they feed him, they rang the bell, and he thought he was going back to the barn to eat, so that's why he took off.
okay, that's a good one.
Pop.
But yeah, so the horses are funny. And then I don't know if you've ever worked with giraffes. So we actually went to this. There's this animal sanctuary up like Santa Clarita area. It's
yeah,
basically
In somebody's
been
neighborhood.
there.
yeah, and literally in somebody's neighborhood.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Oh, you've been there, yeah. So you know, with the giraffe,
Yeah.
Jax the giraffe, right? So
He's very nice.
yes, he's very nice. So they were telling us, and I'm sure you probably know this as well. They're telling us how like he had to retire kind of quickly because he got too big for the shot, essentially. Which is like, oh, I didn't even that like never even occurred
Well,
to us that
I don't think they had a
animals like that
trailer. That's what it
outgrow.
was.
But that too. But he also outgrows the shot. I mean, you can only I imagine with filming, you can only go out so much and still have the detail you want and try to. We need this entire giraffe in the frame. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure. I mean, if you're trying to get a wide shot for sure, I think what you would do in those, like you said, you'd do like a process trailer and have them kind of wrangled in, and then you'd get elevation so that they could be up closer or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it would be difficult, especially in that environment. That place is smaller, so like you're not out in the plains like getting some
Right, exactly. Yeah, but apparently like he had his when he was smaller, they had this trailer, they'd bring him down, to Culver City or whatever, and then he'd go back home in his trailer, but so yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
got
know.
the full screen
It's
hit.
so weird. I'm slightly conflicted with that,
Right.
in terms of just all of it, really.
Right.
Not to digress too much, but like zoos and things like that, they bug me a little bit, like in terms of like us stupid humans are like, look at that animal,
right.
like it's just so, it's like, all right, like.
And this comes up a lot too on their show. So Sam actually, before she even became a zookeeper, she was very, very anti-zoo. So what changed her mind actually was going into zoo school, and they actually do a lot for conservation and a lot for reintroducing species.
breeding.
I mean, I get it too. I think we all get kind of weird. It's like, oh, you're in a cage, but some of the animals too, actually, most of them, like they can't go back out into the wild because, someone had them in their high-rise apartment. It's like, well, once you do that, there's no going, if we put in the wild, the cheetah doesn't know how to be a cheetah. So it's going to die anyway.
I think that's where it goes deeper into the idea of the fool who has the alligator in his bathtub instead of not necessarily pointing the finger at the zoo or the conservation areas that are helping these animals. Like you said, once they're sort of domesticated to that level, how can you put them back out? But yeah, it is. I like in the beginning of the pandemic where we all watched Tiger King. It's like it's kind of that thing of like, man, you're just breeding so cute little cubs and then
and then killing them and then taking them out back and old yellering them and then waiting for another litter. Yeah. Well, yeah. Then they had Fat White R. Kelly on there, which he seemed the most. I mean, they were all very disturbing.
With the women, that fat.
Fat R. Kelly, Fat White R. Kelly.
He's despicable.
Which one is Fat?
The one in South Carolina with the elephants, and he made
hilarious.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I never heard it. That's hilarious. I'd never heard him described.
Tell me I'm wrong though.
No, I mean you're dead on.
Yeah, but
I get
but
it.
hold on a second. What's more? While we're talking about Tiger King, how does meth make you gay? I mean, that guy was his gay wife, whatever, and then all of a sudden, there's no more.
Why are you asking him if meth makes it?
I'm just asking him what he thought about that thing with the guy. He was the wife or the husband of Joe Tiger or Joe whatever, and then all of a sudden he's straight and he's going out with the lady because he couldn't give him any more meth, and it's like, wow,
Checks out.
I don't.
I'm about to hit some right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's more,
just being a drug addict. I think it's more just an addict. Addicts will do stuff.
Well, that's a good question for Novak. People do funny things when they're looking to get that. And to answer your question, yes, meth might make you go gay because apparently it's so good and you need more of it.
Right? My God.
Well, so we have a friend of the show. I'm not going to out him, but we have a friend of the show who is friendly with Joe Exotic and knows him. And I mean, that world, the exotic animal world, is very. No, he's not gay. Yeah, I don't think he's done meth, but it's a very, very small world, that the exotic animal world, and of course he does it the right way. He actually will build zoo enclosures for zoos, so everything is compliant. You know who I'm talking about, and our listeners will probably know. But when he was before Tiger King came out, he had a text chain with Joe, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared.
Raab
was just
he went to jail, or
as soon as Joe got taken away and behind bars, their text message chain just got wiped.
So this friend of yours is someone who is basically rescuing these tigers and
so not necessarily not Joe's animals.
Carol or something, wasn't their name? Carol, was she?
Carol Bassett. Well, she killed her husband.
I was just going to ask him that question. What he thought. I didn't want to hear it.
Oh, come on! She totally killed him.
I want to hear what Raab thinks. Did she kill her husband, Raab? Yes or no?
I mean, she does seem a little funny, and that the new guy that's around seems like he's fallen in line so that he doesn't get fed to the tigers, So I if I had to guess, evil does seem like it's around that area. It's full speculation. I would say possibly, and it seems like it wouldn't be that hard. If you had tigers.
Oh, you're fine.
Sorry.
Unless it's an emergency, then by all means.
Where'd you go? Are you
there? We're still here. Yeah, we're here. We can see you.
Okay. Yeah. So I would imagine that would be a pretty easy way to get rid of some bones and things.
Cat food.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the way that they take those full,
those full turkeys and chickens, are just here you go.
Yeah, there's you're man, they would get rid of a human quick.
Oh yeah, we're very soft. We compared to other animals, we're very soft. There's not much really protecting us as humans. I mean, horses at least can kick. A lot of other things can do stuff to dissuade that kind of attack, but us, we're kind of screwed. So back to speaking of prey animals, horses are pack animals, seeing as how they are a prey animal, and they like to roam in herds, strength in numbers, and they do have a social hierarchy. So herds, which are also known as bands, can have up to 26 mares, 5 stallions, and then young of various ages.
Did you say band? B-A-N-D?
Yeah, B-A-N-D-S.
Like Band on the Run?
Oh, yes. Okay, very good. Yes, the typical herd size is only 5 to 11 mares and 1 to 4 stallions plus additional offspring. And as for their social status and social structure breakdown, there is an alpha male who's dominant over the entire herd, and then females or mares with young are dominant over non-reproductive females, and then lastly, adults are dominant over juveniles. So as for behavior, and this is very typical animal world, alpha male, obviously, studies have shown that the alpha male is significantly more active than the rest of the herd. In feral herds, regular members spend around 10% of the time moving around. The dominant male will move around anywhere from 25 to 45% of the time and spend 5 to 6% of their time sleeping, while other members will spend around 20 to 27% of their time throughout the day sleeping. Alpha males will round up females and defend them against other males during breeding season, and alpha males will usually move in the back of the herd, but they will move to the front if there is a threat. And in general, horses are crepuscular and will sleep intermittently throughout the day, no more than 2 hours at a time. And during the summer, they will graze in the morning or evenings and will visit water sources at night. So, I mean, working with horses on set, have you ever had any close calls with animals? I mean, again, because they're still animals and they get spooked or whatever and shit happens. What was your closest animal call?
Nothing too bad. That just reminded me of a show I worked on called Our Wild Life.
Oh, okay.
It might have only ran for a season, but it was on TLC, and it was
Okay.
basically this lady. She's I'm blanking on her name, but she created like a zoo in her house and in her backyard, and it was like full on zoo. Like there was like kangaroos in the house, and like so we had
Wow,
a
must have
we were
smelled.
my buddy. Oh yeah, it was and
Oh,
my
yeah.
buddy and I, my buddy Zach and I were like in the kangaroo pen, and it started getting pissed off, like, and trying
Oh.
to like fight us and like run at us and kick us, and and it was just more funny than anything. It
Dude,
wasn't like you
if
Right.
that
didn't
kangaroo
feel like,
kicks you, you ever see that you're out. You're out on that, man. That's
yeah. I mean, I've seen videos like that. I just didn't feel that intimidated in the situation, because you were like, you could kind of like bob and weave, like you could see what
Right.
it was doing, so you were like, all right, like I'm good. I think if you weren't paying attention and it leaned
Oh,
back,
yeah. It could get you.
yeah, you get your ass whooped. But like in terms of like that, like they're sort of more scared of you.
yeah,
Right.
Anyway, they're
yeah,
just trying to get you back up,
right.
and then like once you back up, then they're kind of like
Okay,
cool.
cool. Right. Yeah, it's like, all right, you stay over there. I'm gonna stay
Yeah,
here. Thank
there was a
you.
zebra there. That one, like the zebra got kind of funny with the drone, because I was flying the drone around to try and get shots of the zebra, and like,
Oh, yeah. My dog doesn't like drones. Like there's always some asshole at the dog beach here that brings their freaking drone. It's like you have like miles of coastline. Why do you have to come to the dog beach? And then my dog wants to run back to the car. It's very annoying. So I can understand the drone thing.
yeah. I think that buzzing and that thing,
Right.
that
They do. Yeah. No. It's the buzzing because he'll literally watch it, and I'm like, "How are you?
yeah. It's like,
What?"
what is that thing? And
Right. And he looks at me, and I'm like,
yeah,
"I'm not doing it. Stop." But
yeah.
yeah, I think the buzzing they are not a fan of.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of nothing too close. Like I'm not as wild as Knoxville in terms of like getting in the ring with a bull.
Yeah.
Like
No, thank you.
he does that on a regular basis, like he loves it, and I'm like, dude, you are nuts. Like
Dude, you're old. You're kind of old for this shit. No offense, Knoxville.
I mean, yeah, that. But even when he was young, like when he was young, just getting in there, you're like, I mean, either way, yes, it's probably more crazy now
Right. You're
because
not going to
he's
recover as quickly, sir.
almost 50. Yeah, like so it's like, yeah, that's nuts. But like even when we were in our 20s, you're like, yo, this is stupid.
It's
Like
still questionable.
because Ryan got hit on his shoulder, like he got hit like right here
Ooh.
by like a horn or whatever, like the bullhorn.
Oh, he got gored.
Yeah, and then it created like a wait, what's the word? I'm losing the word. A blood clot
An
there.
embolism.
Yeah, so then he had to like have his blood taken like almost every other day or whatever it was.
So was it a pointy horn, or was it a dull type of horn?
I think it was like probably dull enough,
Yeah.
but I think it did create like a puncture of a.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it
it
did.
can,
Yeah,
even a dull
even
one.
blunt force
Yeah.
trauma. Well, your stuff will still open. As I'm sure you know, blunt force trauma can still cause stuff to burst open and bleed. So.
yeah, that again. But it's funny because as we talk about it, I mean, it's been so long for me, and that was one of the things on the new movie. Like I told you, I worked on it probably about half of the time of the shooting. If you're familiar with Rick Cossack, he's one of the camera guys on there. He's pretty much the main camera guy that you see all the time. That like is like it between him and Lance.
Yes.
Lance Bangs and Rick Cossack, they're the two that basically are puking every other minute because
Right.
they can't handle what's going on.
Right.
It was hilarious. So as we were shooting one of the bits, and Cossack just kind of looked around from the camera at me. He's like, "Dude, aren't you so glad you're not doing that anymore?" I was like, "So glad to be holding this camera and not doing that."
Sure.
There was a lot of those moments.
Right.
Where I was like,
Right.
Thank God I'm not doing that.
Right. It's like I'm watching it and I'm still hurt. I'm in pain watching. I'm getting sympathy pain watching.
There was some bad ones where I was like calling Dave England and Danger Aaron like,
hey,
and texting me like, "Yo, are you all right? Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with you? Let me see pictures. What's going on?"
Right.
There was some gnarly stuff.
So was anything rehearsed, or was just let's do? We're doing it live. We're going.
I think maybe it's Knoxville's like famous saying of like, it's better to fail. So like you kind of want the failure to happen.
You want it to go,
Yes.
you want it to go wrong.
You rehearse and get it right. You want it to fail. So then the fall and everything that goes wrong is on tape, and then you have that, you know. So I think so. That's kind of the mindset. Is like, you know, you could try to anticipate how a bull's going to run at you, but you have no idea what's going to happen when they close that pen. You know, so
Yeah, one of the most disgusting ones I saw was when they put shit in the soup, and was I don't know if it was a Thai restaurant or a Chinese restaurant. Do you know?
Yeah, that was way back on the TV show. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The poo-poo platter.
Oh, that was disgusting.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. I actually Knoxville did that one, and that one is one that sticks in my head because the guy's like, I'm just like sitting here eating, and he's like farting. Like, and he kept like, he's like disgusting. He's like farting, and like I always think of that. Like he's just eating, and he's like farting. You know, like it's just so good. Like just going into those places, and people were so fucking pissed off.
I'm sure they'd be like, get your shit and get out. Literally.
Well, that was one that just like you cringe one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was it. Go find that line and go right over it.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of things and communication and trying to figure out how something's going to move, as for how horses and wild horses communicate, their main forms are through vocalizations and gestures, specifically facial gestures and expressions. Males will stomp and paw the ground in an aggressive manner. Grunting and aggressive gestures include shoving, kicking, and biting. Having a variety of facial gestures, positive reactions include head bobbing, pointing the ears forward, and raising of the lips to expose their teeth, so kind of like they're smiling. And then aggressive facial expressions include the ears being laid back, nostrils closed, and exposing their teeth, which I don't know if any of you have ever been bit by a horse. Fortunately, I haven't, but I know a friend who has. It is very, very painful because they have those flat teeth, so it's just like this major pinch. So, yeah. So
I would want to do that. I mean, they're such incredibly powerful animals, but also like they're like the sweetest thing ever too. So you sort of feel bad if like you were to like get them to a point where they felt aggressive, because every time I've ever been around,
they're just like, oh, you just rub my face.
Feeling that they get, you know, because they're like they're this pretty amazing creature.
They're usually pretty awesome.
When you're talking about like what are their predators? Like what?
So
coyotes?
They're predators.
Because you said they're pack animals, and like they add to powers and numbers. Like what are their predators?
Wolves, coyotes, mountain lions, bears, basically anything that can, you know, overpower them. Like a pack of wolves can easily.
This little pussy.
Yeah, I know the coyotes. Like my dog is bigger than a coyote, so I know the coyote thing is kind of just like they're probably going after babies.
I heard a story, even though I heard a story about a pit bull dog that had like completely demolished a whole pack of coyotes.
Oh shit. That's like, impressive.
Yeah, so like it was like one of those big muscular ones, but the owner was all crazy, ran out scared that their dog had gotten taken.
No, because they do that. They'll have like one coyote as like the lead off one, like act like it's herd and make noise to lure domesticated dogs, and they ambush them.
Yeah, they did, but they ambushed the wrong dog. The dog totally like mauled all of them. It was a bloodbath.
Oh,
yeah. Nice. So it was like in that Beechwood Canyon area or whatever, you know, like there, because there's a bunch of them around.
Oh yeah, even up north where we live, like, I mean, I'd be taking him out. I had like 3 large German Shepherds, so I was like, every dog here is 70 pounds or bigger, like we're gonna be okay. So I wasn't really worried about it. If I was alone, I'd be like, but with like 4 big ass dogs, you'll be okay. But yeah, even that, it's just kind of like, no, thank you. But bears.
Such like, such little like greasy little.
They're little scrawny things. At first, you always think they're a dog too, and then it's like, no, something's a little too wild about that dog.
Yeah,
like
something's a little rabid about that.
Right. It's like
I saw one running down Burbank the one day coming home from
no
work.
Kidding, Burbank.
It was like right at like dusk too. So
okay.
it was a
Yeah.
weird time. It was a little too early,
Right. Right.
like, and then it was just all sketch, like running right
Right.
down
Yeah.
her.
Because they're like, oh, they're
Like,
kind of like crackheads almost, where they're like,
and,
ah.
yeah, they are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and, you come to think of it, it actually was a crackhead. No,
Yeah.
but
Right. It's Burbank.
yeah, but yeah, no, it was spooky because people were. And this is at the time where people were out walking their dogs and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like everyone's getting home from work. I mean, I've seen them as late as 10 in the morning, and it's like, shouldn't you be asleep? Like, it's 10
Yeah.
a.m. Like, go in your den. What are you doing? Why are you walking down the middle of the street?
Well, I saw two
But
walking in Moraga, and I said, "Oh, those dogs have skinny legs."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit! I don't think those are dogs."
yeah, no, because right, and then you get that weird kind of like, your primal sense starts
Yeah,
tingling. Like,
well,
that's
there
not
were
a
two of them.
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, well, yeah, that's wild. So, okay, wolves, I get that. That makes sense.
Right,
Lions could probably do some damage.
right, right.
But I mean, they would. So, would a wolf, like, there'd be a few of them that would go
Yeah, so
after?
typically like when wolves are hunting, they'll it's an endurance race basically. Although when you have horses which are endurance animals, so what they'll do is they'll sometimes like for dogs when they're hunting or even just pack animals that do hunt, they'll kind of spook the herd to see which ones are the fastest versus which ones maybe that one's got a limp, that one is kind of sickly, that one
Okay.
isn't as fast, so they'll spook them to be like kind of assess the situation and then they'll be like, all right, that one's got got a fucked up leg, him or her.
that's
Yeah.
And then, or, that's a baby. The babies obviously are not going to be able to keep
Oh
up.
man. Yeah.
So they'll do those kind of things to kind of pick out their strategy. And then they'll,
Grimy ass motherfucker.
right. And then
that's
they'll,
called
isolate it.
adverse selection. That's what it's called.
Right. And then, they'll try to isolate that one. And then certain animals, they'll just run them down. Like the painted wolves in Africa, they'll just run their prey ragged, literally. Like these dogs are legitimate ultra marathoners. So no wildebeest, no zebra, nothing can go as long as these dogs can go. So it's either they run them ragged, they cut them off from their pack or whatever. So that's pretty much how it's usually done. Or, the good old ambush attack, which is what I imagine a mountain lion would do since most big cats are ambush predators.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Alrighty.
But speaking of babies, males can reproduce year-round, but they're most active April to June. And during breeding season, females go through an estrus period on average of 21 days. During autumns, females come out of this estrus phase in preparation for next season. Their gestation is about 335 days, but can range from
Wow,
287 to
that's
419
over a
days,
year.
which that honestly sounds
Oh boy.
horrific to be pregnant that long. No, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, mares usually give birth to one foal. Twin foals are very rare, and births take place at night in quiet locations. Foals are born weighing 20 kg to 30 kg or 44 to 66 pounds, and foals are born fully developed and usually stand within 1 hour of being born. And a foal's weight actually doubles each week for a month, then gradually declines as they reach maturity. So they grow pretty quickly. And I don't know about you guys, but I love petting horses' noses. They are just so
They are
soft.
soft.
So as for how their unique characteristics and traits and kind of how they perceive the world. They have whiskers, as we all know, on their nostrils, muzzles, and cheeks, and these are used to perceive their environment through touch. And vision is their strongest sense and is the main way they observe their environment. While they have a good sense of smell, it only accounts for a small percentage of their perception. And then shedding, actually, if I were to say horses shed, I'm sure we all know horses shed, but especially in the wild, they do actually get a winter coat. Unlike humans, I put on my winter coat, which is like 20 extra pounds of beer weight, but these horses will put on an actual winter coat, which starts to develop in September, October, and fully grown out by December. And it's usually thicker, obviously. And during summer, they start to shed over a 56-day period. And
Well,
what makes
if you don't put on the coat, it's easy to take off the easier.
well, exactly, yeah, that's kind of I think we all put on a
And
COVID-19 coat, to
then
be
as you
completely
get
honest.
older, it's harder to take off the coat.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So, what was I going to say? So their hooves. So, domestic horses are usually shoed. The hooves for Mustangs are obviously much sturdier and hardier and durable than domestic horses. So they can travel on much more rough terrain and experience far fewer injuries and wear and tear on their hooves naturally. And Mustangs are actually healthier than some domesticated horses due to the variety in their diets, Most domestic horses only eat hay, which over the years has significantly decreased in nutritional value. So, yeah, we're really good at ruining food. That's kind of also a reoccurring theme on this show, too. Oh, and then also for predators and threats, humans, obviously, we're really good at just killing the shit out of everything. That's kind of our MO.
Well, here's the thing. I know that horses have to have a salt lick, and I'm wondering where they're getting that in the natural environment, if they're licking rocks.
Everywhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
Licking toads and
yeah, right. Licking toads. Yeah, there you go. Licking toads. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the so is with the hooves is that you're saying the wild ones are just more
they're just durable. This way more durable. Yeah.
Is that because of humans messing with them for lots of years?
Probably. I'd say probably, yeah. And then, I mean, think about it. If you're constantly protecting a surface, it's going to not necessarily weaken over time, but it's definitely not going to be as strong as if it was constantly under that same force and impact, traversing rocks and going over, stepping on stuff. I don't know if you've ever been on a horse and felt it slip. The one thing about metal shoes is they definitely don't have as much grip either. It's kind of creepy when your horse slips or a foot slips. It's like, okay, metal is,
especially when you're going downhill.
There.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been on a horse.
Yeah.
And it slips and it's like, oh, it's like, you cannot slip. You're too big to slip like that. Like, we're not doing this.
Right. Yeah. That would cause an injury for sure.
Right. Yeah. That's a little when things get kind of dicey when your horse slips. It's like, okay, no, thank you.
So do you ride horses a lot or?
Not as much as I used to. I want to get back into it. But yeah, growing up, definitely.
Yeah, where are you riding horses on Lunge Beach?
Yeah, I know. There's actually a place in North Long Beach, but you have to go up there. So it's just
is that where you're at in Long Beach?
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool. We just outed you.
I know. Damn it. Fuck. Everyone knows where I'm at. So yeah, from the 1850s to 1900, the Western U.S., yes, the Wild West, cowboys known as Mustang runners would tame and sell Mustangs and also kill them. And so yes, you can tame these feral horses. However, it takes a really long time. Feral horses born in captivity are slightly easier to tame. Mustangs can gallop at speeds of 25 to 30 miles per hour, and some can get up to 40 to 40. The fastest record is 55 over a very short distance. As for kicking, we all know horses can kick. They can kick with a force of 2,000 psi, which is more than enough to shatter your bones and kill you. So I don't know if that's yeah. So I don't know if that's a stunt you guys have thought about, but I would not recommend getting kicked by a horse.
No.
I mean, even getting stepped on hurts, and it's like they're not even trying to step on you, and they step on you, and it's like, no.
Yeah, that seems terrible. I would never want to be involved in that.
No.
That would be like internal injuries that you don't know about. You go home and die.
Right. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, they bled out. Whoops.
Yeah, whoops.
Right.
Yeah, no, that seems wild. That's crazy. They can get up to 55 miles an hour. That's
right. And then the kick itself moves at a speed of 75 miles an hour. So you're not even going to see it coming. You're just going to be on the ground. And hopefully be alive still, but who knows? So I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a video of this wild horse in Florida actually curb stomping an alligator. The link in that will be in our episode description. It actually came out, I think, last summer. I think I sent it to you, Dad.
Maybe.
Yeah, this alligator, I kind of felt bad for the alligator. He's just hanging out and the horse was just not having it and just stomps him. And it's Jesus, okay.
And that was it for the alligator dead?
Well, the alligators are pretty straight too. Just kind of hissed and just kind of waddled to the other side.
Oh, it didn't die? It didn't get
No, crushed? It didn't stomp its head. It didn't fully curb stomp its head, but it was definitely pretty close. So around 2010, various wild horse and inmate programs actually began to pop up in Colorado, California, Arizona, Kansas, and Nevada. Inmates are paired up with a wild horse and they tame them and saddle train them, and these programs are beneficial for both parties. The wild horses increase in their adaptability, and the inmates learn vocational skills, humility, patience, responsibility, and pride in their work. And these types of programs actually help reduce recidivism. So to see where your nearest prison corral is, if you're interested in adopting these, there will also be a link in the description below. But yeah, there's one in Elk Grove up in Sacramento. Where they're partnered, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office is partnered with one of these prison inmate horse programs.
I thought they were doing that for pit bulls or something.
Pit bulls and parolees. That's a different show.
Okay.
It's a completely
Yeah,
different thing.
I just did. I just filmed a thing. There's a little show called American Dream, and it's like a real estate lifestyle sort of show. That's it's on MSNBC from time to time or whatever. And we just did a thing with the local farm with horses. They were actually police officers were going and doing work for it was kind of like trauma work with the horses. So the police officers that had been involved in like trauma on the job,
Right.
one guy had a full on shootout and like craziness had to happen, and like basically he went on leave for a while and was like traumatized by the whole situation.
Of course.
And then he got to working with the horses,
therapy horses.
Yeah, and it really helped. It really helped him with the trauma from that he experienced from that. So it was pretty neat to see that, like how that helps.
Absolutely. It's beneficial for everyone. And then what's interesting, speaking of police and horses, those horses go through some crazy training. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the videos, but they'll literally just set this giant hula hoop on fire and they'll be like, all right, go walk through it. And it's like, even me as a person, it's like, I don't want to go through that. So I don't know how you can get a horse to go through that, but they go through some pretty rigorous training to be mounted police.
Saw a little bit of stuff like that at this farm. They basically did little setups like that where there was 2 trash cans. They had to go in between the trash cans because they don't like going into the confined space.
They don't like, no.
So they had to walk them through there. Then they had to walk them over top of this tarp that made all this crinkling noise.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get like kind of spooked by that. So they were doing all these training things for these horses that I saw some of that where it was like, wow, but they did a great job. And then even getting them to walk backwards, like they get them to stop and walk backwards and do stuff. And the horses were really like, point.
No, they are trained because I mean, New Orleans actually
these weren't specifically like police horses.
Right.
These were their own horses at the farm that they were using as therapy horses for the police officers who had gone through some traumatic events.
Right. What the hell is he doing?
Dad yelling at the neighbors.
Oh, that happens. Yeah. Jesus, he's a male Karen.
My God, fucking lady is letting her dog pee right on my lawn. I'm standing right here watching this shit.
You tell her, Karen.
And to get rubberized bullets and pop a cap in her ass.
Okay,
no, get a blank from the
don't get a blank from Alec Baldwin's set. Right. Yeah.
Oops. They told me it was blank.
Yeah. So the horses. So speaking of police horses, I don't know. I'm sure you guys have been to New Orleans a couple of times, but they still have mounted police and they're always down on Bourbon Street and whatnot. And those horses, especially during Mardi Gras, like they will step on you and they do not give a flying fuck, those horses. They're mostly pretty cool. There's actually one cop, I hope he's still working. One of them dances actually. There's quite a few videos online of him and the horses dancing. Yeah, it's really cool. Although I think it might have been
in the horses' defense, those kids down there at Mardi Gras.
Oh no, absolutely no. A bunch of them deserve to get stepped on, but people always
the innocent party here.
1,000%. Oh yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I've been there too quite a few times, and it's just kind of like, no, you kind of just keep, because people are like, I'm going to sue you. Your horse stepped on me. It's like, this isn't going to work how you think it's going to work, buddy. Like, what are you going to do? You see a big ass horse. Why don't you move? Like, they will just mow you down. But I mean, I think it might have been Philly where a police horse got punched in the face.
Yeah, somebody. And I'm sure that person.
Yeah, it sounds like.
I'm sure that person who punched the horse in the face.
No, that's assaulting an officer. That's a felony.
They turned that horse around and said, "Okay,
I don't think it worked out well for that person. I'm sure."
I don't think. Yeah, and then I'm sure. Yeah, and Peter was probably like, "Let's hang him." But so as for conservation status, so in 1971, a federal law was passed that banned capturing, harming, or killing free-roaming horses and burros on public land, and that includes using them for dog food.
Oh boy!
And today there are about 70,000 to 80,000 free-ranging Mustangs in the U.S. And so again, if you want to learn more about these guys or adopt any of these horses, you can adopt them for like $125. They do have like these wild corrals and pens that they'll keep them in from time to time and try to adopt them out. And they're, again, like $100.
Yeah, but
so
do you
Wait,
mean
what are
like
they adopting them? What do you
you're
mean?
taking them?
Like
you can
just
buy them.
like,
You
wait,
buying them?
why do you want to do that?
I don't know. Why would anyone? Because to say you have a Mustang.
Oh yeah, there's another dumb human thing.
So wait.
Yeah.
So
wait, I thought you were gonna say something like, as if you adopt them, then basically they'll tag
like
them
you're sponsoring it. No. Like, this is, you come get your trailer, come pick it
get
up.
your Mustang, boy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Come get your
so
horse.
how do they
Good luck training it.
How do they determine which ones are going to be up for adoption? Do they just
I have no idea. I mean, how do we determine which? I mean, it's problematic again
You
because
seen your daddy in weeks. We're putting
right.
you
So if they're
Right,
if they're
exactly.
allowing horses to be adopted, then they must feel there's too many.
It's a double-edged sword because they're starting to cull them again, unfortunately. So it's kind of like, yeah, if you can adopt a wild horse, please do, so they don't kill them. But they're trying birth control, they're trying a lot of stuff, because what happens is people want to have their livestock and whatnot and move it onto the land that was declared for them, and it's kind of like, well, no, this is their designated acreage. Sorry, you and your cattle can go fuck
Yeah,
off
but
over
that's
there.
why
Like, I don't
they're
know
on
what to tell you.
BLM land. Are they destroying the
Right, but
environment? That's the question. Are they ruining?
no, they move them around. That's the thing. I think that's also why they have these pens out there
Yeah.
too, to kind of move them around as well. But yes, you can just go adopt a Mustang, because who doesn't want
Oh,
to?
your mother's
Maybe you guys
home.
should have a Jackass Mustang. We
Yes,
should do a
I'm on
Jackass
the
Mustang.
podcast.
Yeah, we should. Hey, if they're only $100, I'll take two.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Knoxville, go hop on.
That's
He
just
loves
the
people.
beginning. Wait till you get
Yeah.
the food and the medical care and all that business.
But they're pretty sturdy. But yeah, so that is our friend the Mustang, and thank you so much, Raab, for coming on the show. I hope you had fun learning about Mustangs and coming on our kooky show.
Yeah, that was cool, man. That was cool. I did learn a lot. I'm impressed with your research and how much you put into that.
All right. Well, listen, thank you. And you are like our most biggest celebrity that we've ever had, I think.
Well, yeah, I'll have to get you hooked up with some others and get you on there.
All right.
There you go. Yeah. So what's some future work we can look out for you on? Go ahead, plug everything. Plug all your stuff and where else we can find you.
Oh, I mean, right now so I started my production company called Green Gate Entertainment. GreenGateEntertainment.com has some of the stuff on there. We just did a music video for Darren Miller's band, 96 Bitter Beings.
Okay.
That's his band after CKY. So that's his new band. We just did a music video for them. And then I just did a music video for Nate Bergman from the band Lion Eyes. Lion Eyes split. So he's gone out and he's done his own solo record for Velocity Records, and we just did a music video for them. That's currently in post-production and, probably will be released, I think, in the new year, because that'll come out with his album and everything when that comes out as well. We did a feature film called Afternooner that is a comedy. It's a comedy film, basically kind of is similar to like a 90s style comedy where the storyline is that this guy owns a bicycle rental shop in Santa Monica, California, like right at the beach.
Right.
And his dad had like bought it for him, whatever. He's, and he's kind of a screw up, but he's about to lose the shop. And then he finds out that this nemesis guy bought a shop right next door to try to put him out of business.
Of course.
So all throughout, he's trying to go through this stuff to shut that guy down and keep his thing open. And his girlfriend's breaking up with him for the schlubby yoga guy. And
it sounds like an episode
I do
from
goat
Curb
yoga, and I'm vegan and only drink, and you have a kale IV. Very Santa
This
Monica.
is an episode from Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry got dissed by the coffee guy, and he opened up his own coffee shop right next door.
Yeah.
Sounds just like that.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask you one technical question, which is, okay, so if somebody wants to make a music video and somebody like dreams up the story and everything, but you have to be somehow incorporated into, I don't know, the storyline, storyboard, as to make sure you're portraying what the vision
Their
of
image,
the vision of the thing is supposed to be. In other words, what angles, what shots, I don't know how many camera shoots you do on these things, maybe 2, 3, whatever. But it's somehow or other is what do you call that meeting when you're talking about, okay, are you looking at storyboards and then you're just trying to replicate what you had in the pitch meeting? How does that work?
Yeah, it all depends on the project. Each project's different, but that is during the pre-production process. You'll sit down and if you know, it depends. If you have the money, you will go out and storyboard the whole thing and do it, you know, shot for shot, right? You know, if I let's say like the two that I just did, we sort of envisioned it, wrote it out, you know, came up with the concepts, broke down the shot list, those kind of things. Then we go and then we shoot it, and you know, some shots remain, some shots shift, and you sort of get creative in the moment. But there are shoots where it is very by the book. You did the storyboards. This is exactly what it is. We're moving on to this shot. We're doing this setup. It's just like this, and it's going to look just the same as the whole storyboard breakdown. I can work both ways. I like kind of a mix of both. I like to have a pretty good idea going in, but then I also like to have room for
creative freedom.
Yeah, to be able to do that. So that's what we did with this last one for Nate Bergman's. The concept was that this death and this rebirth. And so there's sort of this goddess woman that's it's kind of like his DMT trip sort of thing or whatever.
Sure,
but like,
sure.
He's going through this whole thing, and we broke it down to this is what it's going to look like. This like that, and it was pretty right on as far as the storyline and the plot and the shots and everything that we had listed. And then there was a couple moments where I saw these things that would look really nice if we set up these lights and this different kind of style, and then we got them while we were there, you know. So,
cool.
But yeah, I mean, it all depends on the specific project and who the artist is, because like I directed these two, and every artist is different. Some people are very you know, I don't know what you want to, how you want to say it. It's sort of like some people are very detail oriented and they want to be exactly what their thing was.
Right. It
And
needs to be
some,
this, and this.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And then some where, like, because I'm the director, they sort of hand it to you and say, hey, this was sort of the concept, see what you got. And then and I have a little more fun in those situations because it's more of a collaborative effort and everybody gets to put their creative spin on.
All right, man. We thank you for your time.
Wait, really quick, one more thing. How much? Wow. Okay, really?
Go ahead.
I know.
He's got to go yell at the pissy
dog.
He's
got to go back on with. He's got to go get the hose and shit. Whatever. But so we had a writer on not that long ago. So do you do any like writing, or as a director, how much kind of like writing do you do in, like, I guess, like the pre-production phase?
Well, I would say separately, yes, I'm a writer.
Okay.
I mean, I always laugh because I'm like, you know, am I paid to be a writer? No.
Right.
So it's a hard business in LA, you know, especially whatever, to be a working writer,
right?
You know, because you don't make much, and then in the beginning, and it's really hard. So in terms of my level of writing, I do write short films, and then I go out and make those, and like I have a couple features that I've written that I want to eventually produce.
Sure.
Wait a minute, but you're not using film though. You're using digital. Everything is digital, right? Or are you really using film that gets processed?
It depends on the project. So yeah, it all depends on the project.
Spielberg's calling. Is that
like,
Spielberg?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. He wants you to do the ET phone home, the next version.
Yeah. Yes. But no, it all depends on the project. I have a bunch of buds. Like I said, I'm a cinematographer by trade. Like that, I'm in the guild and all that. I have friends that have film cameras, and I have friends that, you know, we have all the Alexa Minis and the digitals and all those things too. But there's something about film that's just beautiful, and it takes you to another realm, sort of thing. So if it's possible, I have shot a lot of things on film.
Okay,
cool.
All right.
But yeah, but but digital is the way to go, and it is the cheaper way for sure.
Yeah, you can do 100 takes. Who cares?
Yeah, but I tell you what, that kind of does ruin things, because there's something great about, like, look, get it right, because you're wasting a lot of money right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, so it's like the idea of the pressure of that, it kind of makes diamonds. And so with the fact that just leave it rolling, it's like nobody gives a shit.
We're using the real gun. It got one take. Do it. Hit it.
Yeah.
All right. That's not funny. But anyways.
Especially in light of this terrible
Thank you very much for your time. And
yes, we really appreciate you coming on here. Yeah, we would love to have you back on if you ever want to come back.
When you get your star, please let us know. We're going to be there for you. Okay.
That's
we'll be your entourage.
I think you're going to be on the walk of shame. That's where.
Yes, already, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be your entourage. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.